Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Oh, let me get comfortable here. It's hard for a fat man. I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I know you know how to do it. You've been around YouTube long enough. I don't know how to put the little, icons up, but you know how to do it. Hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. So today is the first in the series of Fat Man Tries to Find God. It's about my search for God. If you remember, or for those of you new here, September 10th, 2025 was a wake-up call for me, a call to action when Charlie Kirk was brutally murdered. And then several days later, during the memorial service, I came to realize that God would play an important part in that wake-up call, in that call to action about what I was supposed to do or what I was going to do. And I did not really have a relationship with God. I had, grown up in church, went to Sunday school and stuff. It was a Greek Orthodox church, and all the service was in Greek, so I never understood that. And as a young adult, I tried a couple other churches, but I didn't like religion. There was something about organized religion that I didn't like. In the Greek church, you had to do certain things, and other churches, you had to do certain things, and you had to do this. It was about because men were putting restrictions and stuff in religion, and I didn't really care for it. I walked away from it and have lived a very secular life my entire life. But with the death of Charlie, a message came to me: you need to change. So I thought it's about time I looked into, take a close look at God. I mean, before I had never really thought of it much. I thought of God as some cosmic energy or something. But I thought I'll get a closer look at God. So my first issue was whether or not there was an actual God. I mean, what proof do we have that there's a God? That he actually exists? And then I thought about it, and I started watching a couple YouTube videos and so forth, and someone had said, look around. Think about this, the universe. Think about everything. Think about this planet. Think about the stars and just everything. And if you subscribe to the theory that it all started the Big Bang, well, there was nothing, and then the Big Bang. How did that Big Bang start? It can't start from nothing. Nothing is nothing. There's nothing there. It just can't spontaneously erupt into a Big Bang. It had to be started by someone or something. And if we look at it, we look at mathematics, we look at physics, quantum mechanics, we look at physical nature around us, everything around us, we can see that it had to be intelligent design. If you just think about gravity for a second, what's it measured in? Newton meters or something? If you're off a hundredth of a Newton meter, well, everything in the world just flies apart. It's that precise. Look at the human eye, what it can do, how it can see. Not even the human eye. How about a predator eye in a predator cat, right? The design of that. I mean, we can study that eye. We can analyze the eye scientifically. We can even produce a mechanical type eye, but nothing like a natural eye. The intelligence to design that, I mean, I can't even fathom that. I don't think any human being can fathom that, their brain, because the brain of God, of this intelligent being, is so vast, so spectacular that we as mere humans can't even come close to thinking about what that would be like. You can't even think of, God has no beginning, no end, no past, present, future, knows everything that was, will be, and has been or is now. I mean, you can't even wrap your brain around that. So once I came to that decision, the intelligent design, and there must be a God, then we get into thinking about how we're going to learn more. Well, I picked up the Bible. Now, currently I'm reading the New Living Testament. I have a King James and I have a ESV version. I can't remember what it stands for. I'm reading the NLT because it's in easier English language for me as a dummy to comprehend. And then I will go back and look at the King James to see some of the older English versions. When I had a Bible when I was a child, a young boy, or whatever it was a King James. It was always a King James version, and I found the language of it to be so dry and dull, I couldn't read the thing. It was just too hard for me to read. So I started reading the Bible, and of course I started in Genesis, and that's where we started to have a problem. Now, before I hit that, I just want to say a couple things. I chose the Bible because a lot of people have God. The Buddhists have God. The Hindus have God. The Japanese have Shinto gods. But our God, the Bible, is what, 60 books, 40 books? No, 66 books. 40 some authors over 1,500 some years compiled together. It's the most comprehensive work of history we have. I have a couple problems with it. Not problems. They're not problems. I can't have a problem with the Bible. It's God's word. That would be second guessing God. That's not what I intend to do. I need to reconcile a couple things just in Genesis in the beginning, just for my brain, because my brain is kind of twisted in certain ways. But a disclaimer, I am not a Bible scholar. I don't claim to be a Bible scholar. I don't want to be a Bible scholar. I am not a pastor, a teacher, theologian, none of these things. I'm just a guy searching for God in a relationship with God at 69 years old who's never really had one before, who's been a secular life all my life, and I'm looking at things in the Bible, and I'm trying to reconcile a few things with God, okay? So one of the things I question or think about is the 6-day creation and the amount of years the earth has been here versus paleontology, archaeology, geology. When we say the earth is 1 billion years old or something, but the oldest it can be according to the Bible scholars is 6,000 to 10,000 years old. The flood changes a lot of things. Yes, there's a lot of evidence on one side with the planet's magnetic system, the heat coming off of Jupiter and Uranus and stuff like that. You can get into all that, but I'm not into astrophysics. I can't go that deep. Mine's a simple question. Mine's a simple question. How do you explain the age of, say, Homo sapiens, the archaeological age of Homo sapiens in a 6-day creation? And Adam and Eve. Now, if you're like me, the thought of Adam and Eve is just, like an Adam like me and an Eve like, my wife, just a man and a woman as we know today. I think that's a mistake we make thinking that. Man was made in God's image, not his physical looks. He was made in his image about his love, his patience, all the qualities of God was in man. And when Adam and Eve were first made, of course, they had no lifespan. They were just like immortal, I guess, So anyway, let's go take a look. Now, I'm also new to this whole YouTube and computer jazz from back when I used to make videos 5-8 years ago, just on a GoPro, and then you throw it into your movie maker and make something. So let's go here. And so here we know, in the beginning, this is, of course, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. That's chapters 1 and 2. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Chapter 1. The earth was formless, blah, blah, like I just said. There's no mention of time in that. Chapter 3 starts, then God said, let there be light, and there was light. Okay? I don't know if I can move this. Oh, yeah. And then God called the light day and the darkness night. And let's go here. And then evening passed and morning came, marking the first day. So when God created, God God created the heavens and the earth. There's no time spoken of between then and when the earth was formless and he said, let there be light. Because we have the word then. Then God said. We don't know when that was. Could have been anything. Now, I'm getting around to this, okay? So if you're going, oh, you're all messed up, you don't know what the heck you're talking about, I'm getting around to why I think this way. Because I have a problem with day, okay? With a single day, with a day as we know it. There's a 24-hour day. So, of course, we go on and, let's see. Then God made the waters flow beneath. I can change the page here. And we got to get back to this guy. I don't know if I can do this. Oh, that messed me up. Okay. Anyway, it'll go on to say on the, let's see, that was the end of on the end of the fifth day, he let the fish swim and all that. Oh, I got messed up. Yes. After the third day, on the fourth day is when God said, and I'm having trouble bringing my Bible up so you can see this verse, but verse 14 said, then God said, let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. Let these lights from the sky shine down on earth. And that is what happened. God made two great lights, the large one to govern the day and the small one to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set these lights in the sky to light the earth. This was on the fourth day, okay, folks? So according to Scripture, it was on the fourth day. And, yeah, it was on the fourth day. So up until the fourth day, we really didn't, there was no sun, there was no moon. How are you going to know a day, okay? It's light and dark, but we don't have the sunrise, we don't have the moonrise, we don't have any of that to determine the 24-hour cycle. And I'm thinking, this is a lot to ask me, seeing, because then we have Adam and Eve come along after this, right? And then, of course, Eve eats the fruit of the tree of good and evil, the tree of knowledge, and then God banishes them to, basically they're going to be, now they will see death. The land will be barren. They'll have to grow in the dirt. They'll have to fight with thorns and thistles. They're going to have to struggle their entire lives to eke out a meager living and go. So I'm going to jump back to that in a second. But when I'm talking about the day, 24-hour days, 2 Peter verse 3:8 says, but do not forget this one, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. What that verse tells me, and along with looking at Genesis and thinking about archaeology and the way our world is, I don't think putting a 24-hour time limit on God to create the earth and everything in it in 6 24-hour days, 144 hours, something like that, is, well, it's confining God. In my mind, in my feeble mind, it's putting limitations on God. It's like the Muslims who say, Jesus can't be God because God can't become man. Well, who are you to put a limitation on God? The God that created everything we see, when you look out and you look at the trees, you look at the flowers, you look at the animals, you look at just the insects, no seams. I mean, how only God can create something like that, yeah? You believe that? I believe it. I mean, I truly believe that. That's why I'm here on this journey, So I have to still reconcile some things that I know. One is human beings are older than 6,000 years old. And I don't think human beings began like you and me. I think human beings may have begun like in God's image. Okay? And we don't know what that was like. We still can't picture that in our brain. Our egos picture God as a human being person like us. That's our egos. That's not God's ego. I don't think anywhere in the Bible, if he has, please let me know. I don't think anywhere in the Bible said, Father God said, I look like you. Now, I will send my son in your form because, I want to look like you down there. But wasn't it when people who had reached the Ark of the Covenant where God was, they were destroyed? 30,000 at one time because they got too close. You couldn't get too close to God because, his presence would just cause you to, I think. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. My first video has gotten several scriptures. Thank you. Thank you for all your comments. I really appreciate them. This is a journey that I'm taking, and I need your help to walk this journey, and I want us to walk it together. I want you to walk with me through this journey to help me in this search for God. Okay, that's what it's about. It's not about trying to cause controversy. So when I look at creation in the 6 days, I don't put 24-hour days on the 6 days, because from creation, we don't know when that was, to Noah's Ark and the flood, we don't know when that was. And from there up to, 2500, when the Egyptians first started papyrus, Moses was born in, Abraham was born after that. So, and then Moses, when he was born in 1140 something, I got it written down, but I'm not looking at it, so I'm an idiot. Anyway, I think when and up until Moses, okay, up until Exodus, up until Moses and the Jews crossed over out of Egypt, that's when they started honoring the Sabbath, the seventh day. Rest on the seventh. Well, it was rest on the seventh day before, but to celebrate the Sabbath was on the seventh day. Well, the only way to explain that to Moses would be 6 days. Why? If God was talking to Moses, maybe he said, I formed the earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh. You too shall rest on the seventh, and you will do this. You will celebrate the Sabbath this way. Maybe he didn't want to say, I formed the earth, and I had all these beasts and all these animals on the earth, and they didn't make it. They were around for 50,000 years or 200,000 years or whatever. They didn't make it. Species die on this planet all the time, right? So you could think, well, God made it. How can it die? Well, that's death. Death came. Death is part of nature. Yeah, you have animals eating other animals. Even God's animals eat each other. They have to, otherwise they'd never. Well, they'd starve. You can't. Adam and Eve were able to eat from any plant except one. They were able to eat any of the animals. That they had to eat nourishment. So, to think that God would create a species that wouldn't die is, I guess that's like thinking God can't come to earth as a human. Anyway, so that's how I look at the 6 days. So let's look at Adam and Eve, right? So she ate from the fruit, the sin started, and then death came. So maybe that's when our first Homo sapiens walked the earth, He said, boom, now you're going to have to work hard to live. You're going to have to scratch the ground. You're going to have to barely make it. How did Cain kill Abel, right? With a rock. What's the first weapon used by ancient mankind? Human beings. Well, they'd be rocks and sticks, yeah? So maybe I can reconcile it that way, that all that human evolution getting up to the point where we have Noah, and these are primitive humans, we don't. I haven't seen biblical scholar yet. I haven't done a deep dive, but I'm sure there'll be plenty. But I haven't seen a biblical scholar explain ancient human beings evolving into the human being that we are today. Now, some say we haven't gone that far because we're still as murderous as we always were. But for me, that works. Okay? And that's all I need to work. That's all I need. Now I can go on and I can read about Moses. I can read about Exodus. I could go to Numbers and Deuteronomy, and I could go to all those others all the way up, and I'm okay. And I can read about Jesus and those are historical facts, okay? So I needed to clear up this one thing in my brain. Now, I'm sure a lot of you can tell me different ways. I'm sure you will. And that's great. I'd love to hear it. But I need to reconcile in my feeble little brain how humankind can be a certain age and go through this evolutionary process, learn, and we have the proof of that, yeah? It's not like that's scientific. So let me get to another part. A lot of people want to dismiss archaeology, some of those sciences. They say, no, you just have to believe everything on faith. But those are the same people who believe in physics, mathematics, quantum mechanics, medicine, aerospace, astrophysics, all of these other sciences, meteorology, okay, as bad as that is. If we, as believers in God, can believe in all those sciences, why can't we believe in archaeology, paleontology, geology? I submit we can. We can, and we can still believe in God the Father. Well, I'm starting to cough. I'm starting to tear up. And that's what happens when you get old and you smoke for a lot of years. Oh, by the way, I haven't smoked for over 30. So please join me next time. I'm not exactly sure where part 2 will be. But we will be there. I appreciate all of you. I love all of you. God bless all of you. And have a wonderful day.